All right, Michael Gross is up next, and he reminded me, I gave my presentation about earthquake debris, and he reminded me that he actually recycled most of the Marina District in 1989, so it has happened at the last earthquake. Yeah, bummer. All right, but he's going to talk about that other disaster, or upcoming disaster, potentially wood and WoodAGeddon, and Michael Gross is the Director of Sustainability at Green Waste and the Zanker family of companies. He coordinates and institutionalizes sustainability efforts across divisions and among business relationships. He focuses on greenhouse gas reductions, procurement opportunities, C&D diversion opportunities, waste management, and recycling alternatives. Here is Michael and WoodAGeddon.
Oh, cool beans. All right. First, Rebecca, thank you for giving me the title of WoodAGeddon. This probably drove me and our staff nuts because we're going to have this great big old presentation with space shuttles and stuff like that. It's hell with it. Stick around. We're all here. It's all important. Okay, so I'm going to be talking a little bit about biomass here. If I figure out the right button. In California, we have goals. In this case, energy goals. And it's how we generate our electricity, from hydroelectric dams and power plants, solar panels, and where's my other one here? Wind turbines and geothermal. All these are great goals. We also have biomass plants. Biomass plants, the renewable energy goals that we set up did not really include the biomass plants, but they should have. It's the primary goal of these plants, the primary goal of these plants really was to deal with the agricultural waste that we generate. It was to deal with the problems that are out there, that were consistently out there, way before we were doing any recycling. California, 1960s, how many people remember this? Was not pretty. Much better now, huh? So California Air Board was established. Thank you. Who did the Air Board? Nobody? Nobody? Come on, man. Really? Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan brought the Air Board to California. Can you believe that? We have changed so much. So the stated goals of CARB: obtaining and maintaining healthy air quality, protecting the public from exposure to toxic air contaminants, and providing innovative approaches to complying with air regulation rules and regulations. First thing they went after was, of course, cars, followed secondly by industry. Then they went after our ag industry. They went after the smoke from the fields being burned, the crops, when they pull them out, being incinerated. These are called TP burners. Didn't even know that until this presentation. This is what at lumber mills, and this is what burned all the lumber waste. So it made all the valleys extremely smoky. Starting in the 1980s, more than 60 biomass plants were constructed in California to use forestry and agricultural waste. Sorry, my notes are all screwed up here. These plants were designed for those materials, but we also would be able to use our urban waste. Now, this is our Zanker operations back in the 1980s, when we first started doing this. And it allowed us, the urban facilities, to start actually recycling the material instead of just burying it in the landfill. It made our facilities, like our operation at Zanker, it made us what we are. In California, we had 39 operating biomass facilities producing 864 megawatts of electricity, using 6.7 million tons of biomass each year. In California, we had 39 of these plants, and between 2000 and 2016, 5 plants were shut down and demolished, representing 57 megawatts, or 438,000 tons of materials lost. Another 14 plants were idled during the same time, a loss of 265 megawatts, or 2.1 million tons. 6 of these plants were shut down last year. Between 2016 and 2020, energy contracts for another 6 plants will expire. All the 6 of these plants will likely shut down before the end of 2016, when our contract for energy prices fall by 1/3. This California will lost 517 megawatts of renewable baseload electricity since the turn of the century. And this is roughly about 4 million tons of material. Biomass currently represents 6% of our renewable portfolio for California. Oh, come on. There we go. What's in our waste stream? Okay, this represents what we do at Zanker. We have 17% of our materials go off to biomass. And this is from our construction and demolition recycling operation. Out of that 17%, 75% of that material is biomass. The remaining is mulch and soil amendments. I wish I could sell mulch and soil amendments all year long, but I can't. We're great at marketing, we're not that good. Nobody buys this material this time of the year. A lot of people have asked, well, why don't we just compost the stuff? Well, best answer is, wood doesn't compost. Well, not really. It just takes a long, long time. So this actually went out to a bunch of professionals, and we had all these different answers. A year to a year and a half to break down wood chip. We do not have that capacity here in California. With 1826, we're going to need another 100 more composting operations by 2020. You think we want to sit out and compost this type of stuff? We don't have the time or the leisure to be able to do this. The reason for the demise of the bio industry is simple. Biomass power costs 11 to 13 cents a kilowatt, mainly because of the cost to gather the materials, transport the stuff over to the fuel places. Also, older plants do not get 2-cent tax credit that solar is provided. Solar costs 6 to 7 cents a kilowatt. The state has mandated investor-owned utilities to purchase out at least 33% of renewable energy for their customers by 2020, and at least 50% renewable energy by 2030. This is great news for the 6 biomass power plants that may be shutting down, but it's not going to happen until 2020. Next big impact is our rates, our rate structure. Now, what's really important here is the pricing on our materials are all going to hit a certain point. We'll see. Right there? It's going to be cheaper to bring a load of your construction waste to our facility and dump it than it is a load of trash. It's also getting closer to the price of a source-separated load of wood waste coming to the facilities. You know, it's just, people will just do what's easy for them. And what we're going to end up doing is having a lot more less separated loads. Lastly is this line down here. That's the pricing of biomass materials. And those materials, we're going from a price of $22 a ton down to a negative $10 a ton. That means we, instead of getting paid $20, will have to pay them $10 a ton. Plus, we're going to end up having to transport the materials. The other side effects, let's see. The other side effects is, of course, illegal dumping. We're going to see a lot more illegal dumping. I think it's getting bad now. It's going to get a lot worse. Brian Dahle, last year, tried the legislation to use greenhouse gas funds to cover that. No greenhouse gas funds, of course, were used. Instead, we decided we're going to have fires. 6,337 fires reported by CAL FIRE. 307,000 acres, all caused by drought. But what we're going to do with the wood waste? To deal with the fire hazard, Governor Brown did an emergency proclamation. He wanted the PUC to negotiate on behalf of the biomass facilities. Well, no, I got that wrong. He wanted the PUC to have PG&E negotiate with the biomass facilities, which is letting It's not good. How's that? So this is biomass legislation. And the tree mortality regulations, they looked at that. This is going to affect 3 different plants here in California that are going to be able to actually accept materials from this whole program from the PUC. Contract term is 5 years, which is great. It's going to start in the summer of 2016. However, there's no requirement for urban wood waste to be used. It won't restart any idle facilities, and it won't keep facilities from starting up that are already shut down. Little small gas fires. This is probably a solution. They produce 15,000 tons of biomass used per year, 3 megawatts, great operation. We need 500 of these to replace the biomass plants that are being shut down. All right, I wave my magic wand. I'm going to fix the biomass problem. How am I going to do it? Each California agency will be responsible for their portion of the biomass industry. CAL FIRE with forests, CDFA with the agricultural interest, CAL Recycle with the urban wood waste. $130 million greenhouse gas funds would be set aside each year. An example would be if you brought a load to a biomass plant. The biomass plant would get $10 a ton in greenhouse gas funds. The investor-owned utilities would be required to purchase up to 6% of power being generated each year. That's the same that they're doing right now with that number. However, that generation rate would go down from 6% all the way down to 0 by 2030. And this would actually put a band-aid on what's happening now, drive the market for materials in the future, increase efficiency of the biomass industry, and incentivize other forms of recycling. Bad news is nothing is happening now. This is American Union Elementary School near Fresno in February. See the burning in the fields back there? This will be happening in the Central Valley in California come this fall when another 6 plants close. Or then again, maybe just this. Sorry for the bad news. Bummer.
All right, any Woody questions for Michael here? There was one over here.
Yeah, Art, that's actually a great question, and that has to do with, I mean, we're talking to CAW even about this. Some of the biomass plants are not that good on their pollution standards. I mean, when they built them, they were great, but now not so good, where there's new biomass plants that are really top-notch. Those new plants should stay open. Those old ones need to modernize or shut down. But, you know, we need some time to be able for that things to happen, and that's actually a perfect point for that.
There's another one. Question. There was.
Oh, no. We heard Jared talk this morning about 9,000 people dying from everything. I love that. Not the last slide, the slide before the last slide of the open burning. And I think it's astonishing that nobody seems to remember that we built these plants to clean up the air in the Central Valley, which has the worst air of any valley. It's not the cities. It's the field. And I don't know how much more open burning we have to do before. And Boone's point is a good one, but compared to open burning,
Yeah.
there's no comparison.
Right. You're going to see that 9,000. It's a great question to ask the industry. Remember, I'm just a little garbage man. I know. No, you're gonna see that 9,000 number is going to triple, is what's going to happen, and then someone's going to finally do something about it, which is really a shame. I mean, we shouldn't have to go through that. Our landfills, you know, we treat our landfills. I got one more minute? Go for it. Okay, go for it. We treat our landfills like we only put our waste there. The biomass plants, I only want to put what I have to at the biomass plants. I'd rather mulch this stuff. I'd rather make compost out of it. I'd rather do anything else. I don't want to do ADC, but if all my plants go away, I will not have a choice. All those bills go flying out the window when you have no place to go with your materials. Thank you.